What did you see on that big punt return? What was it like? Kind of take us through that big play.
Yeah. I would say, that was probably the third or fourth punt I had been able to return in the game. And so as it went on, my confidence just kept growing. I got a return, but I didn't actually get a return any in the NC State game. So just catching those first few, getting what yards I could, that built my confidence. And I think that last one, I knew it was end of the half, and so I had nothing to lose. I was like, this is going to be a good opportunity. He gave me a good ball, and then again, like there's a reason I gave credit to my blockers. I made one man miss, and it was like, I got past the first level, and it was just wide open. And so, as a punt returner's dream, just to see that, and they blocked great, and then just did what I was supposed to do.
Was there a point where you knew, like, all right, this one's gone?
Honestly, as soon as I got past the first, two dudes, I was like, I'm gone. Like, it's over. Because I knew the second level in punt return is always those big guys,
Yeah.
And I knew once I was past the first level, I could outrun everybody else. And so I was like, it's over.
I think it was the punt before, the one you caught, over your shoulder.
Yeah, over the shoulder.
How challenging was that, and how much confidence did you get from that one?
Yeah, that's one of those things I was talking about as far as that helped my confidence a lot, just because getting back to the sideline and our special teams coordinator and assistant, they were like, hey, that saved us 20, 30 yards in field position, like, good job. And it just built my confidence, which then led into, being able to have the confidence to return a punt.
Did you think you'd play this year? I mean, did you come in with expectations at all?
Early in camp, I was getting a lot of reps. At receiver, not at punt return. I didn't start punt returning until later in the camp, but I thought I was going to play. The plan was to play. Like, in my mind, I'm a dedicated person, so I was like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to play. And I even told Coach Mons, I was like, hey, I'm going to play for you this year, like, whatever it takes. As camp went on, they started rotating more older guys in, which just comes with that experience. And that was not because I wasn't doing well and they were just not letting me get reps. It was more of like I wasn't prepared in some areas to play early in the season, and I know that, like, I needed to develop in certain areas, and so that's what the season gave me time to do. They did a really good job. Deej, Coach Galt, and the weight room, they did a good job just continuing to develop me, and then off the field, in the wide receiver room, just learning the plays, learning the concepts, and then also on the field, just developing. Honestly, I wanted to play. I felt like I could make plays, but at the same time, like, there's areas that I did need to grow, and I needed to, get better.
What is this situation now? It kind of brings up a little dilemma where you have one game left and you can still redshirt.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to play the rest of the season? Yeah, it sounds like you've had conversations with Coach Pry about that.
Yeah, we've, everybody knows we've been having those conversations. We had 2 conversations after the game. We had one Sunday and then one Monday. His message to me is, the decisions you and your families to make. But then at the same time, like, obviously as a player, I want the coaches to be part of that decision. And so I asked him, I said, I want to know what your perspective is, what you want. They want me to play, and I want to play. As a competitor, naturally I want to play football. Like, that's what I came here to do. I think that would be really helpful for me as far as building into the spring and then also building into next September. That's something that we're still just having conversations about. I'm playing this week, and we're going to go from there, have a conversation on Sunday about it, and kind of probably make that final decision on Sunday. It's one of those things we're still having conversations about, but play this week and then probably see how it goes. It's one of those things. I don't think if I'm going to go back there and only return punts, I'm probably would try to save my red shirt and go ahead and red shirt, but it's looking like maybe I can get more reps at receiver. And so if I can work into, the rotation and get more valuable reps at both special teams and wide receiver, then that's just going to help me go in the spring and then into the fall. So.
Can you go back to NC State game where you had all the fair catches?
Yes, sir.
Going into that, were you a little bit nervous because of, obviously it's been a big point of emphasis that the return game hadn't been doing a whole lot.
Yes, sir.
Was there pressure on you at that point?
Honestly, it was kind of the opposite going into the game. As far as nerves, I felt a little bit nervous, but I was confident, and it was good nerves because I knew I was prepared. You know, there's a difference between nervous because you're not prepared and nervous just because it's a big stage. And I had some nerves, but I knew I was prepared. I've caught punts every day after practice for the past 2 months, and so I knew I was ready. And then as far as, you know, the expectations and knowing that we haven't done much in the return game, it was kind of the opposite. I talked to Coach Mines. He's also the returners coach for special teams, and he was like, "Hey man, like just the bar is low right now. You don't have anything like really that you need to go out there and prove. Just do your job." Pretty much was his message to me. Just do the thing that your coach do, and now just protect the ball and get it to offense. And so it was just, I had confidence, and they don't expect me to go out there and return 2 touchdowns at NC State, and that kind of helped me. So
Yeah, last week you mentioned your confidence growing as you made those returns. Did you get the sense that the blockers that you tweeted out and mentioned that as you were starting to show you could get some yardage, that they were picking up their game too?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a factor. Everyone on that return team, like leading into the NC State game, they had talked to me about starting at punt returner for a while. They were wanting to wait till the last 4, but it ended up being NC State. But it was cool because when we came in our Sunday meeting the week before NC State, I was the starting punt returner, and it was cool because I had multiple guys on the punt return team come up to me and they're like, "Hey, like, we believe you're the guy back there," which is cool, just to have that know that they have the confidence in me, which just leads to them doing their job, and I know I don't have to worry about their job. I just have to worry about my job, and that's where a lot of confidence comes as well, just knowing they're going to get their job done, and then I just get to do the rest.
Now you're from Andrews,
Yes,
North
sir.
Carolina, and you played high school at Raven Gap?
Yes, sir.
That's not
Yeah.
close. That's like an hour and a half away. How'd that work later in your career?
Yeah, so I transferred during COVID because playing at Andrews, we weren't going to get to play a season in the fall, and I knew there was no way I was going to get recruited. So I transferred to Raven Gap. I went through my junior year at Andrews, and then I reclassified, redid my junior and then had my senior year at Raven Gap. So my junior year, I actually drove every day over to Raven Gap and back, hour and 15 minutes. It was a lot, but it was a sacrifice that I was willing to make, and I loved being there, and I loved playing big time football, and so I was fine with it.
That's not like interstate driving, no.
No, sir. No, it's over a mountain, completely. I mean, like really over a mountain. Like most of the days, pretty much the whole winter. Even if it wasn't snowing down like in the valley where I live, there's always snow on the top of the mountain. So it got a little bit sketchy a few times, but it was it was worth it.
Now you committed to the previous staff here. Talking to Coach Pry this week, he sounded maybe he was a little nervous down the stretch that he could lose you to I think Vandy.
Yes, sir.
Visit Vandy down the stretch. What was your thought process? And how these coaches kind of, I don't know, did they lure you back in, or were you always in with the Hokies?
So, when the coaching change happened, signing day was the 15th of December, and so I went on. I didn't technically announce that I was opening my recruitment, but I talked to a few schools, Vandy being one of those schools, and it kind of came down between here and Vandy for the most part. And I would say for me, that decision, it came down to the line. We were in our ceremony, I told my coach 30 seconds before he announced that I was going to Tech. And so it was one of those things that we didn't have a wide receiver coach yet. They had not hired Coach Mines. It was only Coach Pry and three other dudes. It was only 4 coaches.
You didn't have a coordinator anymore.
Yeah, no offensive coordinator, no wide receiver coach. And so for me, more so than usual, a lot of times people talk about recruitment and they're I went where it felt the most like home, or the most I belonged there. And one of the questions people just kept asking me, where would you go if it wasn't for football, And so it was kind of a mixture between trusting that Coach Pry was going to get the right guys here, which he has, and we're going to build this thing right, and everybody believes in that. But it was a mixture between trusting Coach Pry. Like I did take a leap of faith because I didn't know who the wide receiver coach, didn't know who the offensive coordinator was. So just trusting him, but then also like the biggest thing was I really thought through that question of where would you go if it wasn't for football, if you're a normal student. And Vandy it didn't feel like home for me. And Virginia Tech was that place. I felt like, when I was here, it felt like the right place for me to grow as a person and a player. So,
how much is your family? It sounds like a pretty faithful guy. Does
Yes, sir.
that play into your decision at all?
To come here, you mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely played into the decision as far as I prayed for months through the decision. The first time when I committed, and then when I did sign here. But at the end of the day, like, faith isn't something for me wasn't gonna be at Vandy, and it wasn't just gonna be at Tech. It's who I am. It's part of me, and so wherever I went, it's gonna be the man that I am. But it did play a big role as far as just me and my family praying through the process and deciding where to come, and making sure it's God's plan.
How would you describe Andrews, and how has it shaped you into
Yeah.
who you are today?
For sure. I mean, little town, small town, Western North Carolina. But there's something about Andrews that just it built me in a way that it's kind of like the mindset of just like small town, hard nosed, like we work hard, we do our jobs, like you don't complain, you just do what you do. And there's a type, there's a sense of class to what we do as far as people and on the field. My parents, they just taught me that treat people right, and the town of Andrews did too. It's just a cool community, and I kind of learned to love a smaller community, and that just kind of built me into the man I am today, I guess.